Hello my fellow car modelers, and how are you doing today? I am sure that you all have noticed that over the past few weeks there was a particular series that I had been working on over the past couple of years, an adventure in building a model car, where we were building the Monogram 66 Malibu flip nose. If you are watching this, obviously I have returned the series, and each episode is now going to have this little foreword in it, explaining why it was gone and why I'm doing the series, and I'm going to bring it back. The reason why is that I don't think many of you understood why I was doing that series and what the purpose of this channel is. When I started this channel, I did not want to be like all the others. Not saying that they're bad. I wanted to do something different. I was not going to be a build channel. I will do builds, but I'm not going to be a build channel. I wanted to be a model car hobby information channel and tip channel. So the whole idea, as was stated in the very first episode of An Adventure of Building a Model Car, was the reason behind the series was to just have a kit that I would work on through time to use as doing tips. So if you look at the episodes, they're not so much about building that particular model. It's about showing you tips in building a model car. My way of building a model car. It will not be something that I work on all the time. I will do other episodes on other subjects, and I will build other models. I am not continually working on this 66 Malibu. This brought some criticism and misunderstandings, where I would literally have people so enraged that I wasn't constantly working on it and wanting the rest of this series to continue on, that they would threaten to write the channel off and unsubscribe. Well, I'm going to tell you this, that's not a threat that's going to shake me up. If you want to unsubscribe, by all means do. I'm going to continue on. That is why I pulled the series. I'm bringing it back for all of you. It is going to continue on, and I will work on episodes as I see fit. Could take a couple of years before it's all done, and when it's all done, you're going to have a nice whole play set to watch from beginning to end. But if you're following it and anticipating the next episode and you're trying to build the same car along with me, I'm sorry. That's not what its intentions were. I'm not going to do it all the time. I want to do it in my time as I see fit. I have other things I want to do. Please respect that. It's not about the build of this particular car. It is about the tips and information that I'm giving you. That was my intention. Now you know. Let's continue on and let's enjoy an adventure in building a model car. Hope you enjoy it. Well, hello my fellow car modelers. How you doing today? Well, me, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. So now let's get on with part 5 to An Adventure in Building a Model Car with me, Luka Cee. That's how we're doing it. And in this episode, we're going to be cleaning up the engine and getting it ready to be all painted, and then we can start putting it together. But there's a lot of issues with this engine, and I got a lot of neat tricks to show you on this one I think you're going to really like. Because, you know, these kits that were tooled so many years ago, the fitment is not quite the way we're used to in today's kits. So there's a lot of cleaning up and a lot of issues that have to be dealt with to make a good looking part in the car, which is the engine. That's what we're working on, is the engine, right? So a lot of fitting and filing and making sure it's all right, and cleaning up parting lines and splits and gadgets and jings and thumbs and all kinds of stuff like that. That's what I'm going to be doing today for you guys. I just hope this helps you out in your model building. That's my whole plan. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you a model that inspired me, that's kind of gave me a little push in the direction I want to go with this car. And then I'm going to announce the direction this model is going to go, because I took in everything that everybody says. I listened to you guys, and everybody had some great directions to go with this, but there was a certain route to go that the majority of you would like to see, and I think it's going to bring us down a road that's going to show you more stuff to do with your model cars. Let's go. Let's build. Let's glue our fingers together. Hopefully we don't cut our fingers. Come on. Let's get into the adventure of building that model car. The Monogram 66 Malibu flip nose. So with the engine block halves together, I'm going to start working on the separation line here that just splits the pan apart so we can make it look like one solid pan. So I'm going to start with just using a sanding stick here and just get this going. So we're going to work this all out. So what I'm hoping for when I get this all sanded down is the glue that I was using is the Tamiya extra thin cement that binds the plastic together, fuses it together, melts it together, and with that, and getting it really close, and I used a couple of pairs of clamps to hold it together real tight, that hopefully when you get this sanded there's going to be no need for any type of filler. I really like to get parts together as close as possible. Sometimes you have to work them to make sure there's no gap whatsoever, and when you do that, the cement you use lots of times will act as the filler. I usually always try to go for that because I don't like to do putty body work if I don't have to. It's coming along pretty good. You can kind of see where this area right there, kind of the line is vanishing from just doing this type of sanding. And this is probably like it's a heavy grit. It's 100 grit. So it's a heavy grit sanding stick. The reason why I go with a sanding stick is it's like block sanding. I'm trying to get a nice flat surface and keep it even. It's just a lot easier and smoother, and it's getting all the high spots down and turning this all into one solid piece. It looks like I got a little bit of a gap right there. With just this section of the pan done, you can see how it's all kind of gone together in one solid piece. You don't really see the line there. But now I'm going to get in there. I'm just going to take a little bit of the sandpaper here because I like using sandpaper. Sandpaper, paper for the purpose of sanding. Sanding sticks are cool too. It's a little bit lighter grit just to kind of get some of those big scratches from the heavy grade stick right there. I'm just going over it a little bit, start knocking it down, getting it a little more smoother. And here's a little bit more of a medium grade. Just one I picked up from a beauty supply place. It's a little bit lighter. Don't make fun of me, all girly like. Girls build models too. Right, girls? See, it's getting smoothed out. And I'm going to take this even lighter one right here. Really getting it down. Look at that. Look at how it all has turned into one solid piece. I got a little spot right there that I think what I'm going to do, this is where I'm going to take some CA glue and use it as filler instead of busting out the putty. Let's take one of my plastic toothpicks I always keep on the side, get a little bit of the glue here, dab a little up in there and fill that hole. Dab a little more in there and just kind of fill that hole up with the CA glue. We could sit here and wait for that, but I'm such an impatient person, so what I'm going to use is some accelerant. This has been my favorite, Bob Smith Industries. I found this to be the best accelerant, and it works with any CA glue. It doesn't stink, it works really well, and it doesn't seem to like haze plastic, especially if you get near the clear plastic. And then I don't spray it on, I just get a little bit of a dab here. I usually try to get it at an angle and just go a little above the area that the glue's at, and you just let it run over it. And right there will instantaneously turn that all into a solid. Take a rag and just wipe it off. And boom, we got a filled area. And we're going to start sanding again. But always close your tops. This stuff evaporates like crazy. And if you forget to tighten this down, you're going to come back and have an empty bottle. And this stuff, as I've been noticing, is getting hard to find. I have lost my sources. Close up your glue too. We're not going to be needing this, so close everything up. I know I'm going to reach for something, knock it over, spill it all over the place, and then I say things and I have to do more editing because I don't want to have those things on my video, right? I'm just going to take a little bit of sandpaper here, a heavy grit sandpaper, because I like sandpaper. And just get in there and just get that knocked down. It's doing pretty good. Look at that, vanish. We'll come back with a lighter stick, do a little bit of sanding. And my stick for my nails, when I'm not doing my nails, I'm going to go ahead and work on a model with it. And you see, I'm going kind of at a crossways. I want to kind of go both ways. Because if you tend to keep on sanding the same direction, you're just going to dig grooves in. Look at that. That little spot's all filled in with the CA glue. You can't even tell there was a line across there. Of course, when we go to primer it, that's when it'll all show again. But that, when we get to that point, that's where the primer is going to help you out. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this finished. We'll move on to the next step. As you can see, the line for the two halves is completely vanished just from a bit of sanding. Then I'm going to finish it off and get it polished up with 1500 grit sandpaper, because I like to use sandpaper. I got little tiny bits of sandpaper because it makes me happy. I like all the sandpaper I got. So I use that sandpaper to do things like this. Getting it all polished up, and you can see the line is virtually gone. Looks like one solid piece of plastic. But I can tell you right now, when we get the primer on here, it will reveal any imperfections. And quite possibly that line will show back up. But that's where the primer is going to help us out. So we're going to get this engine block and the heads on and everything, get it all ready to go, primer it, and finish off the prep, and then get it painted. So before we put the heads on, what we want to do is, just like we had to sand and straighten out the bottom, we want to do the same to the top here, because if you look really close, you can see that the two halves aren't quite even, and you got kind of a pivot point here to where when you put the intake on, it doesn't hit a flat surface. It's kind of teetering there. Can you see that? We want that to be a nice flat surface. Now, of course, it doesn't have to be a nice finished surface because it's not going to be shown. We don't have to get it like the bottom here, but we got to get this flat. So I'm just going to use an emery board. So let's get this all planed down, a nice machined flat surface. Remember, crosshatch, so it's nice and even both ways, and you can kind of see the high points and low points right there. We want that all to be flat. So you see, we got that all nice planed down flat. Let's do a test fit of the intake, and let's give it a try. And see, we got no more teetering. It's nice and flat on there. No more teetering. Now this is going to help us to make sure that the heads are aligned. And this time we're going to use Tamiya extra thin cement, because we know the last time using the Tamiya Mark Fit Strong didn't quite work out, because decal solution isn't going to hold plastic together. So take one of the heads, we'll go ahead and put some of the glue on right around the little knobby jobs there. Now on some of these older kits, these heads don't seem to fit really well and slop around a lot. We got a lot of play and movement. So this is where having the surface prepped for the intake to go on, we use the intake basically as a jig, and you get that right up on there, get that together so the head and the intake go together real good, and everything's nice and straight. That'll keep the head straight on the block so it doesn't look all quirky and weird. For the next side, put a little bit here and across there. We'll get this on there. The head's all bolted up. Let's make sure it's all square onto the block. There. Now, again, the heads are going to be on, all nice and perfect, nice and straight, and the intake fits on there nice and smooth. And we got ourselves a nice looking engine. Well, we're going in that direction, at least. So that's enough of the intake, because we don't want to glue the intake on, because we're going to now paint the engine block. That's going to be Chevy Engine Orange. Getting this engine prepped for paint, I did notice some other things. Being the old kit that it is, you can see how everything kind of has a peak here where it should be a flat surface so that the bell housing mounts, and same with the front, and things don't seem to really fit well. Got a whole lot of teetering. Same with the bell housing. Bell housing doesn't quite fit right. Look at all that space. You can see how it just teeters on here. We're doing a whole lot of prep to make this old model look really good. I got to make a decision here real quick on what to go. Do I not worry about the alignment pins and kind of eyeball that and get that on there correct? I'd hate to lose the alignment pins. But maybe what we can do is we keep this bottom one. So I'm going to plane across this, knock this alignment pin off, and just use the bottom one. I think we'll be okay. I'm just going to go ahead and sacrifice this top one. I'm just going to cut it off. It's been done. I can even cut some of the peak off right there. Let's see how much of this engine is. Pretty much all the front of the engine block is covered up, so we're not going to worry about doing a really nice smooth out like we did on the pan. I'm just going to get that thing planed out flat and we should be all okay. Again, I'm trying to retain that bottom alignment pin so that the plate will be nice and in the correct spot. Boy, that thing has got a heck of a bulge right there. It's more up towards the top, so I'm going to work the top of the engine block. Try to get that flattened a little more so we don't teeter so much. Looking fairly square. Let's see if we got some of that teeter gone. Get that lined up. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Look at that. Using that bottom pin still, we can get it in the right position. We can eyeball it to get it nice and straight, and there's no more teetering. It'll fit nice and flat on there. I'm going to call that part of the engine done, and all that's hidden, so there's no need to make it all nice and smooth and look good. Now we got to move the back. This is a different set of circumstances here. Not quite sure how I want to go about this, because if I sand this all down flat, I'm definitely going to lose my alignment pins. I'm going to think on that, and I'm going to get right back to you. Blam! I got an idea. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut these tabs off, and I'm going to drill holes right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plane this whole surface nice and flat. And then I'm going to take small dowels from Evergreen plastic stock and just kind of make new tabs down into their alignment pins, so to say, and we could be perfectly good. We'll go ahead and just lob off these pins. But while we still can see where they're at, I'm going to drill holes right there. I grabbed my pin vise and there's already a drill bit in there. I don't know what number or what size it is, but what's important is if this drill bit fits into the hole right there, and it does, a little bit loose, which is kind of what I want. That way the hole that I've got here is about the same size as the hole in the bell housing, which means the dowel, of course, that fits into that hole will fit into the hole in the bell housing. So I'm going to drill into there, and then we're going to drill into the bottom peg. Got ourselves a hole. And you know what? I want to get real aggressive. I'm bringing out Grandpa's file, and we're going to rock this thing. Get this thing planed nice and flat. So make it much faster. Let's put Grandpa's file down right there and just oh yeah, much better. There. That seems to be pretty fair. And then I'm going to go ahead and get back to the sanding stick to kind of finish it off nice. A nice planed surface that will be flat this time for the part to fit nice and flat and look much better. Let's give ourselves a test run here before we put the dowels in. Let's see, it'll fit right about there. It looks like we got a little bit flatter surface there. No rocking. It's nice and flat. No teetering whatsoever. It's all nice and straight. I'm glad I did that. That's just going to make assembly so much better. So now that we got this all planed flat and everything will fit nice, I'm going to put some dowel pins in there so that everything will line up nice and that bell housing will look perfect on there. So let's get some dowel pins. So I found some plastic stock that will work out perfect for our dowel pin and fits right into the hole nicely. That's what we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these into place. I'm just going to cut a little bit longer than what I need just because it's easier to handle that way. And for this job I want to use my CA glue just because it's thick Plug the hole, bink, like that. Got the glue on the other one, and we'll just go into the hole on this top one. Bink like that. Those are in there really good, nice and straight. We're going to go ahead and trim them down to size. Just going to use these. I think we'll take it right about there and there. I think we're going to be okay here. Oh yeah, works perfect. Nice and straight on there. We're looking really good, and the dowel pins work. So there, that job is accomplished. Moving on. So now that we got the basic engine block all taken care of, the heads on, everything planed and everything fits good, test fitted everything, got our new dowel pins in with our flattened surface. The line for the split there is virtually gone, so we're going to get this primered, and we'll take a look at how this looks, and we'll probably have to do a little bit of sanding to that, and then we'll be ready to shoot this thing Chevy engine orange. So I went ahead and primered everything. I've only put in one coat of primer, and I had to go buy some primer today, so just to show you, I picked up some Duplicolor filler primer. It was about $5 at the O'Reilly's, and it's not my first choice in using primer, but it is the one that's the easiest to find. The primers that I use, I like to use a filler primer, but they are a lacquer base. They don't say lacquer on them, but they don't say enamel. That's what you want to look for, is it not saying enamel. You're going to wait forever for them to dry, and these primers, it's very rare to get an ill reaction to the plastic and an ill reaction to any type of paint that you use, and especially any of the model paints. I've never had issues. So there it is. That's not my first choice. It's really kind of not my second choice, maybe my third, but it is the easiest choice. So that's what I use today. Now, getting it all primed is you get to see how your work is. The one thing that I'm very happy is look at the seam on the engine oil pan. It is not there. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. Let this set for a little while longer, and I'll make the decision where I'm just going to start painting it. Again, I haven't decided what color I'm going to do the oil pan, but of course the engine block is going to be orange. Then we'll do to the plate here. The plate here is a little bit of a different story. There's a few spots here that it's ghosting through, right there and right there. I didn't get really well with sanding the injection pin marks out. The other ones seem to be gone, so I'm pretty pleased with that, but I think I'm going to give this a little bit more workout and maybe a few more primes and sand sessions on that piece. Now we'll move to our scratch built area. This is the right side. There's a couple little areas I can maybe fix this in here. There's a spot right there that needs a little filling, but this got all molded together, worked out really good. Got a little spot right there. And then if we look on the other side, it's a little boogered right there. We can clean up a bit, and there's a bit of a seam. But then again, how far do I want to take this? This is not really a whole-on contest model, but I want it to look good when it's done. So that looks like it's kind of welded in there. I may leave that alone, but I'm going to try to clean this little boogered area up right there. But like on this side, there's just a little bit of fill in there, a little bit where you can see the new tube come into the existing tube that was there. But here it looks like one continuous shot. But all in all, got the effect of one continuous bar going down. Taking a look at the left side, and I kind of saw this coming beforehand. Got a little bit of a spot right there that needs a little bit of filling, but everything else looks pretty good. The seam right here, I'm not too upset about these seams down here because it can kind of look like it's the tube ending. As long as this is a nice continuous looking tube, and then it terminated right there and is welded. This side here looks really super good. There doesn't seem to be any pits. Probably could use a little bit of filling right here in this just to match the other side. I may do that. And these are pretty much good. So that's it with these parts. Again, we'll let them set up and the primer set up a little bit. I'm probably going to do a little bit more work to a few of them. And we're going to move on to the transmission. So that about wraps up this episode of Model Car Hobby Headquarters and an adventure in building a model car. But before we end this video, like I promised, we got two things. But first, I want to show you this model. I saw this model on one of the Facebook pages, and I contacted the builder and had a good little talk with him. I was really impressed by it. I know, you know, sometimes there's that model you see and it just, wow, catches your eye. And it inspired me. And the builder's Adrian Rollins from Buffalo, New York, which that's kind of a neat thing because I happen to come from just south of Buffalo. Kind of a hometown thing there. Check out his 69 Dodge. This thing is pretty cool. And as you can guess it, that kind of tells you that it gave me some inspiration on what I'm going to do with this Malibu and with what a lot of people were asking for. And we are going to go for that kind of rough look. It's not going to be a shiny paint job. I'm sorry guys out there that want to see me do a shiny paint job. Trust me, I got another one in the works. We're going to get to that. This is going to give us an opportunity to show you guys some really cool techniques I've developed over the years in doing weathered and used cars. We're not going to be going for a rust bucket sitting on the side of the house abandoned. No, this is going to be a used car. We want it to be all grimy from its use, and the paint just kind of old and shot a bit, and maybe a few little rust streaks here and there and just some weathering, but it's not going to be overdone. It's not going to be a rust bucket. I'm not going to have a zillion rust holes and it falling apart, you know, like this model. And that's one I did about 20 years ago. And the mech that's crushing it is a friend of mine, Oscar, who builds some great sci-fi models. It was a funny thing we did after one of the live shows we did over at Andy's. Cool picture, huh? But it is the direction. I haven't completely picked out the color, but I was really inspired by a couple of things. The picture right here of that Chevelle sitting in the backyard, I really liked how that looked. And I had a friend years ago that had a 66 Chevelle. It actually had a nice paint job, but something happened to his front end and he changed the front end to a fiberglass front end. And it was all white and the car was like a reddish orange. And for some reason that white front with a red body, I don't know, I liked it, so that's what I'm going to go for with this. So now you know the direction that I want to go with it, and it's just going to be a used looking car, but loved. It'll be something that would have been riding around in the 70s. And one last thing I do want to put on this thing is a vinyl top. So I'm going to get to show you guys how I do vinyl tops, which is a really, really, really neat thing that I can't take the credit for. I will have to say it was in Scale Auto many years ago in an article written by a modeler by the name of Andy Callan, a contributor to Scale Auto back in the early days. And this was probably it's the best looking way of doing a vinyl top I've ever seen. And you're going to be really surprised of how it's done and what materials are used. And then we're going to rough that top up a bit too, and maybe make it tear. Yeah. We can have fun with this. This is going to be great. That's about it. Thanks a bunch for clicking on the video. Like and subscribe, like I always say. Hit the dingy dong ding deal dob, whatever the heck it is, so you guys get notified whenever I put up another video. You keep on cutting that styrene. You keep gluing your fingers together. Please don't cut your fingers with those number 11 blades because, man, it hurts. I've done it 3, 4. I think we all have. Alright, well, thanks a lot, and we'll see you in the next video. Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You gonna say action?
Oh, action.
Do it again. Ready?
Action.
Action? Like you're questioning the action?
I don't know. This one might not be it. Action.
And this
I told you.
Take 7.
Take 24.
And
Action.
oh, you're the director.
And action.
We'll come back with a lighter stick. And we'll get this going and drill into there. Oh, for joy. What am I going to use? What am I going to use?
Nail file.
I'm going to use, yeah.
Do we?
But this is not. But just
Well,
to
I'm
look.
not an average girl.
Look at that. See, I also get them for nails. Ooh, don't want to scratch it.
Subscribe to. It's already messy.
No, get.
Subscribe for more on Cashew Cosplays. If you like nails, I guess. Boys. You got a
Yeah,
wife?
some boys like nails.
You got a wife? She'll like nails.
Easy, easy. You're going into a dangerous area. Why are you going over there?
I'm making sure that it's still recording.
This is the problem.
It's okay. It's just my foot in a model.
Foot into a model.
It's okay. You don't use that one. It's just a Camaro.
Well, hello, my fellow caramelers. How you doing today? So here, I'm going live. I'm going action.
Action.
So I got this all done. No, that's not what I'm going to say. So we're going to start over.
Start over.
Okay. I told you I fired you as a director. You don't have to say anything.
Action.
No, you're not the director.
Action.
You can't even say the word action.
Action.
Jeez. All right. Say it.
Action.
All right.
Subscribe to my channel, Denise Void. Or no, never mind, not Denise Void. We could do that one too, but do Cashew Cosplay.
You can't even
Every
get your own
Tuesday.
plug-in correctly.
Every Tuesday I make videos. If you want to watch that, please. Link in the annotation over there. Over there.
Right.
Right there.
So, can I continue on?
Yeah, go for it. I wouldn't do anything.
All right. Okay, so.